Hey, and we're live getting curious with Adolfo Arrana about the future of work and education with ChatGPT and other AI tools. So, for everybody tuning in for this curiosity conversation, I want to introduce Adolfo, coming live from Mexico City, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm,
From
I'm really
Mexico City.
curious to pick your brain and share, really just to get curious with you and share your not just knowledge, but how you're using a lot of these AI tools. So other people, and not just people your age, but even adults and older people like me, how we can better prepare for the future of education, the future of work, the future of cross generational communication and collaboration. So, Adolfo, give us just a short background on who you are and kind of so we can kind of get some context about where you're coming at. And then I don't know what you want to tackle first, education or work, but I'm really curious about your perspective on both how you're using AI tools, but also where you think the future is going with these AI tools.
Sure. Well, hi everyone. I'm Adolfo. I recently graduated from engineering physics at Tech of Monterrey. So I've been through the student and in the work side. Right now, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm developing a software which is called Q-Access, which main purpose is to better manage and authorize accesses to outsiders of your institution through QR codes. And we are still developing the app. We hope that we can finish it quickly. So let's first talk about the education experience because that's when I first came into contact with these AI tools. First, I would like to talk about ChatGPT and how it helped me through my studies in last semester. So, for example, in the case of entrepreneurship, everything is about making a sales pitch or, for example, having new ideas or on the user persona, how to develop the customer journey. So ChatGPT helped me first into brainstorming all of these ideas on the sales pitch. I just gave it a prompt into how should I make the sales pitch, and I then gave him all the context about my idea in entrepreneurship class, and all the on a little bit about of context about who my ideal persona would be, my clients, and then based on that he gave me a first draft, and then I took it, and then I started to refining it. It's important to know that ChatGPT, it's a great tool. However, when it comes to content creation, you as a person, or you as the one that it's going to use it, you are the you're the only one who better understands your market or the
Yeah.
situation. So even though you give context, ChatGPT won't have all the context of your situation,
Mhm.
and you need to figure out things out.
Yeah.
That's the first one. I also used in during my studies. I used to program, so I also ask for developing codes in Python, and it was more like, for example, if I didn't know how to do something like sending an email, for
Mhm.
example, automated email, I would go to ChatGPT and ask him to write me a code in Python for doing this and this and this,
Mhm.
and then he give me the code. We can't trust ChatGPT in its fullest because when it comes to code, sometimes it uses other libraries or other versions of the code, so you need to test your code,
Mhm.
which it's not a problem at the end.
So
And
So it
well,
sounds like ChatGPT hasn't didn't replace the work you were doing. It just
no,
kind of changed the work you were doing. And I think that's
yeah,
always important to point out. Like it's not like, hey, I don't. You stopped being a student, right? You
yeah,
mentioned it was a brainstorming tool.
yeah,
It helped. It kind of gave you advice in
yeah,
writing code. So in many ways, it kind of it both accelerated but amplified your learning experience.
that's right.
That's if I'm listening correctly. Again, I haven't gone through
Yeah,
just, and I just want to bring that up because a lot of what I hear is a lot of the fear about, oh, now students are just going to use Chat GPT and they're never going to do their work. They're going to be stupid. They're never going to learn anything and all of this. And who knows? Again, I'm somewhat ignorant, but maybe that's
mhm,
going on. But it sounds like, at least from your experience, it didn't replace work. It both amplified and in some cases accelerated the work you're able to do.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's like any tool. You need to understand what you're doing, what you're asking, why, and how, and to use it properly. For example, if we start talking about writing an essay about
Uh-huh.
anything, yeah, maybe you can, it's just easy as just writing the prompt and then copy and pasting. But well, sometimes it's not about discovering again the black it's red, or well, we have that saying in Spanish. It's not about reinventing the wheel,
Mhm.
because sometimes some of the assignments that we're left with are things that a lot of generations have been doing and doing over again. So I think that ChatGPT, or at least these new tools, open new possibilities into understanding the context rather
Yeah.
than memorizing or rather than doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
I think it has a new opportunity of understanding. And for example, in the case of code, um, now I will start talking about my work experience. Coding is not about writing. It's more
Uh-huh.
about looking into forums and check how anyone or somebody has already solved your problem. It's
Mhm.
coding is more of searching for your problem, then have that advice on Stack Overflow flow, for example, and then adapt it to your code, which is the main advantage of ChatGPT.
Mhm.
When you're developing code, it gives you first the code, and if it throws you an error or an error,
Uh-huh.
you can look it right back at ChatGPT. Now that it's connected to internet, it
Yep.
it has made everything much more easier, because remember that before ChatGPT has this connection to internet, it was
Yeah.
trained until I think it was 2019.
Oh,
So with
that I thought it was even 2021, but maybe
or
you're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2021, yeah,
It was not recent. Yeah, either way.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So now that it has connection to internet, you can make all these changes with that versions of the
Yep.
packages, which is one of the main problems that I've been facing. So yeah, in the case of code, I think into the education, it's important to understand, as anything, the fundamentals.
Mhm.
However, the tools come into play. Once you understand those fundamentals, you can use them to accelerate your workflow.
Yeah.
Or in the case of studying, um, for example, now that I've been writing sales copy and the pitches and looking into theory of jobs to be done and all of these things,
Uh-huh.
ChatGPT has also helped me to better understand the context of the theory,
Mhm.
because maybe with one book it's not more than enough because you have only one perspective.
Yeah.
ChatGPT has the advantage that it can take multiple perspectives,
Mhm.
and through that, you can better grasp an understanding of the theory.
What I like what you're doing now too is for people who don't know you as well as I do, is
Mhm.
you've gone from talking about how AI helps you in your formal learning at the University of Tech Monterey,
Mhm.
and now you're talking about how it's helping you in your lifelong learning. Like when
Yeah,
you're talking about these books and the learning you're currently doing, that's not homework. That's your curiosity, right?
yeah,
That's and that actually gets into the other side of work and the future of work and your role as an entrepreneur and what you're doing with Q Access. How it's interesting without even me making the suggestion. You seamlessly went from how this AI and these new tools are helping you from your traditional learning into your lifelong learning, which is really
mhm,
generated by your curiosity, but also your curiosity in what you're doing for work. So, can you talk a
yeah.
little more about not just the learning stuff, and you don't have to get super technical, but just kind of big picture how AI has been changing the way you thought you would be working today than when 10 years ago when you were thinking about what you're going to do as an adult.
Yeah. Okay. So going back 10 years ago to when I think I'll be 12. Yeah, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never imagined that I would have a chatbot like ChatGPT, the Jarvis, as some of them
Yeah.
call it. So back then, it was about reading. going for the expert, looking into the web,
Hmm.
and try to, yeah, start figuring things out,
Yeah.
right, by your own. With ChatGPT, it's not about substituting. And I think technology, it's not about substituting. I think it's more about helping or being a tool. It's, yeah, maybe some things can be better done,
Uh-huh.
but in the end, technology is here to help us. And I talk as an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
technology tech entrepreneur, is here to help us to use more efficiently our time and to focus on what really matters, right? So I take a quote here from Marco Aurelio,
Uh-huh.
and a little bit about Stoicism, which they tell you that you shouldn't focus on external things or things which are outside of your control, and you should focus on the inner side.
Hmm.
So, so going to technology or applying this quote to technology, it has to do more of whether how should I be using my time? What can I do, or how can I automate things
Yeah.
that can save me time, money, and how can I use better those resources?
Hmm. Hmm.
So with ChatGPT, for example, now that I now I talk from my work experience.
Hmm.
I don't know about regex expressions. I know how to use them. For those who don't know regex expressions, they are code which
Okay.
helps you to extract something out of huge text. So,
Hmm.
for example, let's say I want to extract an ID from a paragraph, then I can program the regex expression and then take it out, right?
Okay.
So, for example, we can use regex expressions to verify if the input is an email, right? So, for example, if I'm asking for an email and the user is not giving me an email, then I can through regex expressions I can verify that what they are writing is an email, for example.
Okay.
So with ChatGPT, um, I didn't learn all the theory behind it. I only know how to use it,
Hmm.
and I asked him to develop that part of code.
Interesting.
And for example, in the case now from physics, I'll start talking about physics. So I saw back then in my university that one of my teachers was actually teaching ChatGPT about advanced topics in physics. It was
Okay.
quantum optics, and he was teaching him the harmonic oscillator, or I don't remember what, but here I think now that we're talking about this, some regulations should be made because we can experience the same problem with what with which was Wikipedia. If
Oh.
anyone can edit
Yep. Yep.
or teach ChatGPT, even though I know that how ChatGPT was trained, or I have a broad understanding,
Uh-huh.
which is through human reinforced learning. That basically means that, for example, if you're teaching your kid to do this and don't do this, you can reward him with a lollipop, for example, if he does something that you want, or you can punish him, for example.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same idea, but in math.
Okay.
Um, I know that from OpenAI, they've been like training and checking that the responses that the model is giving are correct or not.
Yeah.
But what happens when it comes to so much technical knowledge? Would we require more disciplines, more experts from other areas to be helping into
Hmm.
the development of the model so we can give accurate information,
Okay.
or should should ChatGPT be limited to just certain type of content, and then we should use other type of models for other purposes?
Hmm.
So um, right now, or how technology have been has been developed
Uh-huh.
is through specific scenarios, and then you try to generalize.
Hmm.
So with it's more like how Napoleon would have done it back then: divide and conquer,
Yeah.
divide your problem, then conquer it, and then in the end integrate all the models. So yeah, uh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's that's another inquiry that can be made.
Nice. So I like it because you have a deep, again, your understanding of these tools is much more than just, you put a prompt in and you get something back. You actually have a kind of a deeper understanding of the mechanics of it. So, um, right before we close, then I'm kind of curious then, if you could just share your thoughts, having that both real life experience plus the kind of technical mechanical understanding of these AI models going forward overall, are you optimistic? Do you think it's going to be a good thing overall? Maybe give me one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest positives you not just predict but approximate in the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, approximate. Why be right when you can approximate? Famous saying in engineering. Yeah, so returning back to school
Mhm.
and work, I'm really optimistic of these results because it's accelerating and you
Nice.
don't need to struggle with things in the past that was, for example, memorizing or in the case of pitching,
Uh-huh.
you can generate content, which back then was really a headache
Yeah. Yeah.
because because not all of us are born with the writing skills, or for
Mhm.
example, in the case of the creative skills. Yeah, I've also read books about how to be more creative and using techniques or approaches into how to generate ideas. And well,
Well,
having ChatGPT, yeah,
no, I was just going to say maybe you hit on something I was thinking earlier. In some ways, Chat GPT made people better at writing the same way calculators made people better at math,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where it
yeah,
doesn't mean like everybody's ready for trigonometry and like engineering, all of this, but
yeah,
with calculators, someone who previously maybe had struggled just with multiplication,
yeah,
um, could now do high levels of multiplication and very basic maths at a high competent. And if ChatGPT can do the same with people putting their ideas on paper or creating content or summarizing things, I don't see why anybody should complain. It just because they don't sweat and work harder to do we
yeah,
should all be happier because now we can communicate our thoughts and our ideas more. You mentioned earlier efficient, like the efficient use of time. Um, we all benefit from that. And anyway, I just wanted to tap into that. It seems like if we think of stuff like Chat GPT almost as calculators for writing, and that seems like a net plus, right?
yeah.
Um, yeah,
No, I'm for what you said because it actually helps us again to focus on the relevant, the next
yep,
step. So
yep,
I won't be needing to. Let's go back to the before computers even existed.
yeah,
So for in math or well in engineering, one of the things as a physics engineering does is modeling the
okay,
systems.
yeah,
So what do I mean by modeling? We write the dynamical laws. I mean, how things are going to evolve over time. So let's say, for example, the position of, let's say, this highlighter,
uh-huh,
and we do it with all physical systems. Some of these laws, or approximating the future, now that we were talking about, can be solved using traditional methods. And why do I mean by traditional methods? That there's no a way to calculate a formula that it's going to tell you the exact moment where the highlighter is going to be. And let's put it in an example with a ball. So we've been taught in high school that when you throw a ball, it's going to follow a parabola, which you
yeah,
can think it as a curve that has a U shape.
uh-huh,
Which is the problem with this assumption? First, you're not considering air friction. Second, what happens if the ball starts to rotate?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, you're going to see a similar movement of the parabola. However, we need to take into account other forces. In this case, the lifting force,
mm-hmm,
which is made because there's a difference in pressure when the ball is spinning.
mm-hmm,
And the force that actually models uh, that phenomenon
mm-hmm.
has to do with the velocity that the ball has at the moment, but not with the velocity, but the square of the velocity. So
Okay.
when you try to solve that type of equation,
Mhm,
um, You can do it with analytical methods. You need to take into account numerical methods, and that's where my point is going to be. Numerical methods is about actually calculating numbers,
Okay.
sums, multiplications, evaluating, the squaring, and imagine doing that by paper. You need sometimes in simulations you need to do like a million calculus of points in time and
A lot
space.
of paper.
Yeah, yeah, it would be a lot. It would be notebooks and
Yeah.
years to
Yeah.
making the calculus. And imagine if you made a mistake in the third step. Imagine
All the way back.
rewrite all the million calculus just because you made a mistake in the
Yeah.
third. So my point here is which is more important, or which in this case, what's the relevant?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Calculating or actually getting to predict or again approximate the trajectory of the ball? It's approximating the trajectory of the ball because you need to understand the phenomena where it's going to fall. And for example, we can use that data
Mm-hmm.
to better train athletes, for example, tennis athletes,
Yep.
into how they need to move, how do they need to hit the ball, how
Uh-huh.
to give the spin,
Uh-huh.
and we can start making gold wild.
Yeah.
But in the end, technology, or at least computers, help us with those calculus.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't need to worry about that and then focus into the creative side, into how
Yep.
to solve the problem. So now with ChatGPT, when it comes about content creation,
Mm-hmm.
it's not more about you can here, for example, they recommend you to test different headlines because they
Yeah.
just changing the headline can make the difference in sales.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of sweating it into how can I make a better headline? How can I produce better content? We
Uh-huh.
have the tool,
Yep.
then we can start making faster experiments, faster iterations, and
Mm-hmm.
through that we can get better results, or we can get results much more quickly. So that's what technology is for.
Yeah.
It helps us to make things quicker, and then we can start focusing on what computers cannot do yet. For example, in my case,
Mm-hmm.
in Q Access, what we are focusing more is creating the experience for the outside,
Yep.
whether they require special assistance or whether they require anything that you can imagine. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, can you guide me here or there?
Yeah.
Or, for example, in the case of events, where can I find this thing or this other thing? So,
Patient
yeah,
security for the everything. You can
yeah.
uh,
Technology is here, yeah, to help us in the end to do to help us to do what there are these repetitive tasks, yeah, but in the end we can start delegating or
yep.
yeah into yeah I'm going to hire technology so they can do the stuff which is repetitive, which doesn't add that much value as I know that I can add this value, right?
Well, because then it gives you your time back, which you were talking
Yeah,
about
yeah,
before, the goal, and then there's value. There's value if there's intrinsic value in time and having more time. Then, if I understand correctly, these a lot of these AI tools should be embraced because that's
that's
the
right.
value that we should all we should again air quotes maybe the next time. We're about to wrap up here, but you've got two thoughts
Mhm.
going in my head I'd like to explore because I use air quotes because, of course, technology can go wrong. Sometimes we hear about it saving us all this time, and then we fill that time with other stuff that's
Yeah,
not what we want anyway. So I'd like next time we chat, I'd love to not to get negative. I always like to stay on the positive side of things, but really kind of take an honest look at what are some of the dangers, what are some of the things that we need to not be afraid of, but aware of when it comes
yeah,
to AI tools. So let's cover that next time we chat. And the other thing that I was writing down, listening to you, it'd also be fun to have a curiosity conversation with you about AI in sports. I know you mentioned tennis, and I
mhm,
know there's some things involved with that, but also other sports or athletics in general, whether it's for professional sports or for amateur
mhm,
athletes or just for personal health and fitness. How
yeah,
AI might be impacting our lives very very soon. So
sure,
thank you for getting curious again. And again, this is the first time I was going to say I'm looking forward to doing it again. So for everyone out there, hello Adolfo. And we've been having these conversations for a while now, and I think it's time we start sharing them. So thank you for getting curious with me again today. And let's talk again next week.
sure. See you next week.
All right. See you. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.